Hare Krishna. Hope I'm audible.
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. We'll start with the prayers. Om Ajnanatimmirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaya Kadamahyam Dadanti Swapadantikam Namao Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale श्रीमती भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी इति नामिने नामस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे हरे हरिहराय नमः कृष्णाय यादवाय नमः यादवाय माधवाय केशवाय नमः हरिहराय नमः कृष्णाय यादवाय नमः यादवाय माधवाय गोविंदाय नमः श्री कृष्ण हरि बोल गोपाल हरि बोल राधा रमण गोविंद हरि बोल जय राधा गोविंद राधे जय गौरनिताय जय गौरानिताय जय पंचतत्वा जय Panchatattva, Panchatattva Jaya Panchatattva Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. So welcome you all to the level 2 class of Bhagavad Gita. And today we are going to learn about chapter number 14, Gunatraya Vibhaga Yoga. That is 3 modes of material nature. Okay. So as we all know, the gross body, what we have is visible to all. And the subtle body is the one which come in contact with the material contact by 3 different modes. That is in Sattva, Raja and Tamoguna. Okay. So how does it come in contact? And when we have chosen the path of a bhakti, how we have to be in the sattva guna, what are all required, and how we can channelize to be in a sattva guna, and how to differentiate between these 3. So we will come to know in detail today. Okay. Shri Shri Radha Govind ki jai. So this is a summary of a previous chapter. You know, the 6 questions asked by Arjuna, that is a Prakriti, Purusha, Kshetra, Kshetrajna, Jnanam, Jneyam, and all those things. And at the end, you know, we need to go back to our Godhead. The soul has to go to the super soul, and it should get, it should go back to its home. So we should try to, the practices, whatever we are doing, it should help us to illuminate the inner knowledge within, and have a knowledge about the Lord so that we can know about Him. Okay. So whatever is created is but a combination of living entity and the material nature, because all material nature is made up of Krishna. The owner is Krishna, and without the touch of superior nature, that is Lord Krishna's mercy, the living entity nothing can grow. Okay, so unless there is an interaction between us as well as the material nature, it is not possible to make anything happen. Okay. After the destruction of the gross body, the soul and the super soul exist, and they go eternally in many various moving and non-moving forms. Okay, they are eternally related to each other. Okay, whenever there is, as per the previous karma, we get one gross body, and we try to do the karma in that particular body and move on to the next. Okay, so but human form is one thing by which we have a consciousness. If you take the 84 lakh species, the lower species, they are not they cannot awaken the consciousness. It is possible only in a human life. So that is the reason why we should be God conscious, and we should try to evoke our relationship with the Lord. So because of desires, one is put into, again, the subtle body is in need of wanted to enjoy by coming in contact with material nature. So anything enjoyment is again a suffering in the material life. Okay. When one sees the various bodies of living entities arise due to different desires of the individual soul and do not actually belong to the soul itself, one actually sees. Similarly, the living entity, even though situated in various varieties of bodies, is aloof from them due to its subtle nature. Therefore, it is impossible to see with the material eyes how the living entity is in contact with the body and how he is out of it after the destruction of the body. So consciousness is a proof of the presence of a soul, as a sunshine of the light is a proof of the presence of the sun. Supersoul is situated in all the body. So irrespective of whatever body it is, 84 lakh species has a soul in each and every living entity. Okay. So depending on the past karma, they get it. But being in a human form, we should try to be in a God conscious and try to awaken the inner knowledge and go back to the Godhead. So what are the materials and methods which are needed by which we can go forward? We'll see. Yeah, the liberation and conditioning of the living entities. Yeah, anybody wanted to volunteer to read this sloka? Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Yes, Manoj Prabhu, you have joined today. You can do it.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Param Bhuya Pravakshami Jnanam Uttamam Yajnatva Munaya Sarve Param Siddhim Ito Gataha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Again, I shall declare to you this supreme wisdom, the waste of all knowledge, knowing which all the sages have attained the supreme perfection. Bhagavad Gita 10.1.
Hare Krishna. So now again, Lord wanted to give the ultimate knowledge, that is supreme wisdom, by which all the sages who got and attained the ultimate salvation or the perfection. Okay, what is that? We will see. 13th chapter, through knowledge freedom for the material entanglement associated with the modes of nature, living entity gets entangled in this material world. Okay, this particular 14th chapter, the Supreme Lord explains, so what are the modes of nature are, how they act and how they bind and how they give liberation. So Lord says this knowledge is superior to the knowledge given so far. Okay, it has helped various sages attain perfection and get transferred to the spiritual world. So once we have a clarification of what is Sattva, Raja and Tamo Guna, then we will try to channelize our energy accordingly. Okay. So how the great sages got liberated and how they are transferred to the superior world or spiritual world, we will come to know by being in a Sattva Guna. Yes, Prabhu.
Idam gnanam upasritya mama sadharnyam agataha sarge api napajayante pralayena vedantita. By becoming fixed in this knowledge, one can attain to the transcendental nature like my own. Thus established, one is not born at the time of creation or disturbed at the time of dissolution. Bhagavad Gita 1.2. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, once we have a knowledge about the Lord, we are temporary forms. We are not there from the very beginning. We are only there for a temporary period of a time. And again, a time will come where everything will dissolve. If we have this knowledge, then we will not try to deviate our focus or goal on temporary things. Okay. So, on acquiring perfect transcendental knowledge, one attains qualitative equality with the Supreme Personality of the Godhead. So becomes liberated, free from the cycle of birth and death, which we all aim for. But even liberated souls retain individual identity and engage in transcendental loving service unto the Lord. So knowledge obtained in the material world is contaminated by three modes of material nature. Knowledge not contaminated by three modes of material nature is a transcendental knowledge. That is knowledge about the Lord. So in this, it's on the same platform as that of the Lord. And ignorant feels spiritual knowledge, a spiritual world lacks a variety of material world. Actually, in spiritual existence, one has a spiritual form, performs spiritual activities called devotion service. The spiritual atmosphere is absolutely uncontaminated. To obtain this knowledge, one must develop spiritual qualities by which he is not affected by the creation or dissolution of the material world. Okay, so unless one do that sadhana bhakti, they cannot experience this, I can say. Without being in a devotional service, any amount of service we are doing towards the Lord, we cannot differentiate that. So with utmost devotion, with utmost sincerity, if we surrender onto the Lord and do it, then we can differentiate it. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Mamori mahad tasmi garbham dadami aham sambhava sarva bhutanam tato bhavati bharata. The total material substance called Brahman is the source of birth, and it is the Brahman that I impregnate, making possible the birth of
All living beings, O son of Bharata. So you can
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So from this navel, you can see the Brahma is arising, and he is the one who creates all the material bodies, the hardware, I can say. Okay. So he creates all the living entities, living species. Three modes of material nature, introduction and glorification of knowledge. Understanding this chapter help one attain the liberation and transcendental nature like Krishna, and knowing all which sages have attained the supreme perfection. How they have attained, we will see this. Everything that takes place in the world is due to the combination of the body, what we possess, and the kshetrajna, that is spiritual soul, brought about by the Supreme Lord. Okay. This combination of material nature, living entities made possible by the Supreme God himself. The Mahatattva, okay, is the total cause of all total cosmic manifestation. The innumerable universe are formed by impregnation of the total substance by the Supreme Lord. Okay. The total material substance with the three modes of nature is called Brahman. And the Supreme Person impregnates the Brahman with the seeds of the living entities. So the Brahma will create all the hardware, I can say, all the material bodies. And in turn, the Mahatattva, which is created with the Karnodaka Sai Vishnu, who creates so many universes. Okay. In each universe, again, one Kshirodaka Sai Vishnu will be there, one Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu there. From Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu, from his navel, the Brahma will arise, and he will create all the 84 lakh species. And in each and every species, again, the soul is been imparted by the Kshirodaka Sai Vishnu. Okay. So the 24 elements beginning from the earth, water, fire, air, and all the material energies, they constitute what is called as the Mahat Brahma, or the greater Brahman, the material nature. So if any one of you remember the Goloka chart, you can see the 7 layers of surrounding, which are made up of these 5 Panchabhuta as well as the other 2 elements, that is false ego and the mind. And so these, apart from that, the Jnanendriyas, Karmendriyas, the different elements will add together to this 24 elements of the which will form the Brahma structure. That is the ultimate, the source by which the Jiva can become more purified. So he's made up of all these elements. He need to purify that, by which he enhances his position from Brahman to Paramatma, Paramatma to Bhagavan. Okay. So all living entities are born following the mixing of material nature with the superior nature by the will of Lord, Supreme Lord. So if young scorpions come out of the pile of rice in which it lived, the rice is not the cause of birth of the young scorpions. The mother scorpion is the cause. Okay. Similarly, material nature is not the cause of birth of the living entities. Again, is the seed-giving father. Okay. That is Lord Krishna. Okay. Living entity come out as a product of the material nature. It's very hard to say, but the living entities which are there, that they belong to this the progeny of this and the parents, all those things we say, but ultimate source is again the Krishna. Okay. Each living entity, according to his past activity, has a different body and created by material nature, so that the living entity enjoy or suffer according to his past deeds. So this is a picture of a Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu from his, This is of Kshirodaka Sai Vishnu, who is emitting various universes. Again, in each universe, you got a Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu, and in turn, you have a Kshirodaka Sai Vishnu, who will impart the soul in each and every living entity. Sarvayonishu kaunteya murtaya sambhavanti yan tasam brahma mahadyonir aham bija pradapita. So it should be understood that all species of life, O son of Kunti, are made possible by birth in this material nature, that I am the seed-giving father. So, yeah, we say the parents, but the ability to produce the child, the energy to produce the child, and that fertility, everything, again, the material is made up of Krishna. So it is something like a reaction unit, one particular point of time. If 2 atoms are combining, that will produce 1 molecule. So similarly, this a living entity has to come into this material life. Again, it's the grace of Lord Krishna. So whatever species you take in this picture, every living entity has taken birth on this, on this life, on this earth. So again, the source is again the Krishna. Okay. This is the picture of the Goloka chart, which I have been telling you. These are the all the 7 layers, and this is the Lord Brahma, who is arising from the navel of Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu, and this is the Karnodaka Sai Vishnu, who is emitting the universes, and each universe is covered by all this, and you've got 14 lokas in this. Okay. So, yeah. How the soul comes into the material world and is placed in the modes of material nature. Mother Nature is supplier. Mother Nature is mother supplying living entity with a body. And the Lord puts him there, his potent glance, and thus impregnate the mother nature with the seed. So again, the material is already there, only by certain interaction, we come, that particular entity will take into a shape. That is again the seed-giving father is Lord Krishna. So description of binding of the pure soul by the three modes. Yes. Hare Krishna. Prabhu, are you
Hare
back?
Krishna.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna Mother.
Hare Krishna.
Sattvam rajastamhaiti guna prakriti sambhava nivadhanti mahabaho dehi dehinam avyayam. Material nature consists of the three modes: goodness, passion, and ignorance. When the living entity comes in contact with nature, he becomes conditioned by these modes. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So material manifestation is again, the chapter itself is a Gunatraya. That is, Traya means three. Okay, Guna means three gunas. Okay, that is the goodness, passion, as well as the ignorance. When the living entity comes in contact with the nature, he becomes conditioned by these three modes. Okay, so the three beautiful ladies, what you're able to see in the screen is again is the three modes by which a person when he come in contact with the material nature, he will assume different forms. Okay. So how living entities conditions are controlled? So when he comes in contact with a material manifestation, he will manifest accordingly. So I just wanted a quick few examples, say suppose if you are sitting with a group of people who are all interested in doing a share market. Okay. What sort of conversations you get? Anybody can please volunteer to speak.
How to invest the money in such shares, Mataji? And we have to do if one wants to take any property or anything, he says that is better, this is better. It is like passion, Mataji, in the mode of rajas, I think, Mataji. Hare
If
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, if you're sitting in a group of ladies who are speaking about the saris and jewelry, so what will be the discussion?
Which color do you want to take, or which embroidery, there are n number of sarees and like that, Mataji.
Okay. Okay. And if you're sitting with a group of drunkards, so what will be the discussion? Yes,
They are
anybody else?
crazy.
Yes, Mataji?
I think they will be in a crazy mood, tamasic mood. Means they have they will have money. They want to do lavishly using it, like drinking and eating and all like that. I think so, Mataji. Who are in drunkard association. Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna. Yeah. What happens if you are with a group of devotees?
We will understand, means we come to know that what is right, means what is how we have to be in this world, means we must not attach to material, and what results we get. We have to do our sadhanas and all. We get interest to do bhakti and all, Mataji, with association of devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So if we are in a mode of people who are in the mode of a goodness, we'll speak about the living entity, soul, the transcendental knowledge of the Lord. Okay. So how much the energies are changing, once we are coming in contact with the different people. So ultimate thing is that we should think about the things which are permanent. That is going back to Godhead, and we have to concentrate on not wasting time on the temporary thing. That is enjoying the self or pleasing our own senses. Okay, pleasing our senses to the core is ignorance. To a moderation is a passion, but working our senses for the service of the Lord is in the mode of a goodness. Transcendental living entity has nothing to do with the material nature because, it's the permanent thing, and people who have realized this, they won't waste the time in the temporarily mundane affairs. So he's conditioned by the material world, and the material manifestations, the one which keep us in the passion as well as the ignorance mode, is again the inferior energy of the Lord, which is all perishable, which is the temporary, and so he acts under the spell of three modes of material nature. Living entity have different kind of a bodies with different natures. They're induced to act according to the specific natures, hence suffer varieties of happiness and distress. So simple thing is that if you are in Sattva-guna, in all service of the Lord, then there is no suffering. Anything is a blessing only, whether it is a unfortunate situation or whatever it is, we will think it's a Krishna's plan something, okay? But if you're not in Krishna consciousness, then everything will try to hurt us by one or the other means. Yeah, the actions are pious in goodness, ambitious and over-ambitious in passion, and actions are foolish in ignorant people. Okay. These are, whenever we loneliness or over endeavoring for the good things, or such a mishap happens, and also how do we react normally? So what
We
a
will
misfortune.
sorrow Mataji, means why it must be happen like that, and we become in distress like anxiety and all it happens Mataji.
Yeah, because many living entities have their families, and the families get disturbed, the economic status is disturbed, and all those things. We try to react by some means. That is our materialistic manifestation. But when you see from the spiritual point of view, all of them who are not there in that particular bus, that means who left to the heavenly abode by in that journey and all, they did a similar type of a karma. Okay. And something like a mass clearing of the files, when if you look at in the government office, suddenly the files and all will get piled up. And one day when the officer comes, he says, get all the files. I wanted to clear it all. And he tried to clear all the files at a once. Okay. Similarly, like this also, the karma which is being piled up for a group of entities, likewise, like Kedarnath floods, or if you take a tsunami, or some mass train accident or a bus accident. So these are the group of people who are sharing the similar type of a karma and the effect. So you may be having good people, you may be having bad people in that, but they more or less share the similar type of the karma. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Tatra sattam nirmala prakasakam anamayam sukha sangena bhajnati nana sangena tanaga. O sinless one, the mode of goodness being purer than the others is illuminating, and it frees one from all sinful reactions. Those situated in that mode develop knowledge, but they become conditioned by the concept of happiness. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So the more purer we become, we are free from the false ego and the contamination. So we are free from all the extra baggages what we carry in our life. So it becomes easy for us to, there is no need to be, because no ego. So most of the problems are because of the ego. When we are reducing the content of that ego and all, it becomes more easier for us to handle. Yeah, I wanted one devotee volunteer to read this.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Mataji.
Pros and cons of mode of goodness is attaining liberation. In attaining liberation, type
Pros is wiser, not much affected by material goods.
pros is wiser, not much affected by material miseries, has a sense of advancement in knowledge, material, spiritual, always happy, free from sinful reactions with a pure illuminated life. Example, a Brahman, cons, is conditioned to feel he is advanced in knowledge. Pride seeps in due to improved life and material possessions on material platform. Sometimes hankering for appreciation and praise may develop. Binding with the mode of goodness become a hurdle with no near hope of liberation and entry into spiritual world. Keep on changing bodies, life after life, scientists, philosophers, etc. Illusion of material energy keeps them happy, contented. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. The same thing, the more wiser we become, we are free from all the false ego and we'll be more humbler in doing our service. So if you're not, then automatically we are entrapped in this, what do you say, appreciation from the others and all. Yes, Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Maru. Rojo ragatmakam vidhi Krishna sanga samudbhavam tanibadhnati kaunteya karma sangena dehinam. The mode of passion is one of unlimited desires and longings. Question of Kunti, and because of this, one is bound to material fruitive activities. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So my house, my family, my, all those things, that is because of the material desires. So it begins with a mutual attraction between a man and woman. Okay. Unlimited desires binds to the material fruitive actions, hankering for sensual sense gratification, material enjoyment, desire or something, demand for honor, recognition, and social prestige, family centric, thou not adequately God conscious, does some philanthropic work. Working with the above words, no question of getting liberated due to entanglement, repeated cycle of birth and death. And yeah, example, most mundane people, result of their action are miserable. Diksha, water. So again, it's a mode of a passion, we are having entrapped in a number of desires, which are all temporary, which is not required. Yes, it is required for certain limit, but that should not be the end result, and we are not able to come out of a certain what do you say, the desires or addictions or attachments, I can say, not addictions. So again, that leads to the entrapment in the cycle of birth and death, and help us to come back again to this material world. Okay, so that should not be the ultimate goal, because we have to go back to our Godhead. So yes, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Tamastva gnana jambidhi mohanam sarvadehinam paramadalashya nidravais tan nivadhnati bharata. Ocean of Bharata, the mode of ignorance causes the delusion of all living entities. The result of this mode of is madness, indolence, and sleep, which bind the conditioned soul. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So no knowledge about anything, again we'll be under a delusion, and we are entrapped in the pleasing our senses. That is the in short. So deluded by living entities, dwelling in darkness, characterized by madness, indolence, sleep, and laziness, lack foresightedness, relentlessly endeavor for money and material. Due to lack of spirituality, does not realize he's racing after the perishables, does not even consider life is an ephemeral, belongings and relations to are short-lived, generally addicted to intoxicants, moods unstable, neither good. So whatever he does, it is whether neither good or for him or for the others. Actions are all foolish, because these are all sense pleasing towards an individual entity. So if we try to engage in pleasing our senses, so ultimately we'll be deviated from the routine path, and we'll be in mode of a passion and a ignorance. So our ultimate practice is to diverse our senses in service of the Lord Krishna. Yeah, one devotee volunteer to read this. Yes, Shweta Mataji, you can read.
Hare Krishna Mataji. The three modes of material nature. Goodness conditioning. Illuminating frees one from all sinful reactions. Those situated in mode if goodness become conditioned by a sense of happiness and knowledge. Goodness happy, passion active, ignorance helpless. How modes of goodness binds the living entities. How the three types of conditioned living entities act. The best examples for goodness. Who are the representative type of goodness? Goodness conditioning. Scientist, philosopher, and poet. What caused the sense of happiness? Because one is more or less free from sinful reactions. Destiny. No likelihood of liberation. Brahman represents mode of goodness. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. So, by knowing about the Lord, the inner knowledge or the inner illuminating knowledge to know about the Lord will be activated. So then we know what is the real happiness, what is the false happiness, what are the temporary things, what are the permanent things. Okay, so the soul will be conditioned to practice towards the ultimate things by which we can get liberated. Okay, which is not possible by other people. Like you take a scientist, philosophers, or poets, or these people achieve something and they feel happiness out of, but that is not the ultimate happiness, because after achieving one, again they will say what is next and on. So there is no end to the material manifestations. So only by doing service to the Krishna, like how is your eyes are engaging seeing the beauty of a Krishna, your ears are engaged in doing the Shravana about the scriptures of the Lord, hands are involved in doing some seva or book distribution or serving the prasadam, and mouth plus having the Krishna prasadam and speaking the chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Likewise, all your senses, one, they are engaged in a Krishna consciousness, then automatically the mode of good conditioning happens. So you need not strive for it. So similarly for the passion conditioning, hankering for material enjoyment, sense gratification, want honor in the society and the nation, want happy family, wife, house, children, etc. To construct a residence for sense gratification, one works hard for a palatal house as if it is a eternal. But once we leave this gross body, we have to leave everything what we have built, isn't it? So that's bound by the fruit of work. And this such an individual, again, they come back to this earth. Okay. So we should always try to stay away from all these things because that is not the ultimate goal. So similarly for ignorance and all, people take the help of substance abuse and they sleep for long hours and they're mad and lazy, always depressed, sleeping, and they're constantly not on the track, I can say. So again, for what? Okay, life is all temporary, problems are temporary, people are temporary, everything we are enjoying here is temporary. So there is no point in lamenting or feeling bad or sad or addicted or for whatever reason, because ultimately we have got only that short life to come here and go back. So how alertly we can awaken our soul and go back to Godhead, that should be our motto, but we should not take step backwards to sink to the lower planets. Okay, this human life, if you're not able to revoke that conditioning towards the good thoughts and all those things, it becomes next to impossible for us to progress further in the bhakti. Okay. Yes, Prabhu.
सप्तम सुगे संजयति रजकर्माणि भारत ज्ञानम् आवृत्य तु तमः प्रमादे संजयति उत. The mode of goodness conditions one to happiness, passion conditions him to the fruits of action, and ignorance into madness. Osana Bharata mode of goodness conditions one to happiness, passion conditions one to fruitive actions, and ignorance covering one's knowledge binds one to madness. Bhagavad Gita Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, being in the mode of goodness will be in a happy mode, and passionate again will be attached to the fruit of our actions, and in ignorance you will be in a state of a madness. Okay, so like when the war was been declared, the Pandavas got nothing except for Lord Krishna and very few army on their side, but they were happy, you know, because Krishna is there with them. And similarly, some people they wanted like Ashwadama and all. He killed the sons of Pandavas after the war and all, you know. He wanted to get some good marks in uh, what do you say, from Kaurava's point of view, Duryodhana's point of view. So that is, he wanted a reward of their action, but all this is a simple reaction. Similarly, ignorance, you know, once Duryodhana was so lusty, greedy, and towards the king, and and the end result is that he'll be killed. So the bad things can only give the bad results. It's something like the seed is of the thorn. Ultimately, the thorn tree will come. Okay, the seed is of the flower. Flowers will bloom. So are your thought process. The end results will also be the same. So the influence of three modes has not spared by anyone. So learned and illiterate due to long bondage with a material nature, rich and poor, wealthy and poverty being created of creations of material nature. A person in the mode of a goodness is satisfied by his work or intellectual pursuit. A man in a mode of a passion may be engaged in fruitive activity. He owns as much as he can and spend for good causes. Sometimes he tries to open hospitals, give him charity to institutions also. As a mode of ignorance covers knowledge, whatever one does is in neither for him nor for anyone. Okay, so whatever uh, the charity work or whatever we have to do through a devotion service, through a channel by which it can read, but not on your own. Because if you see in the COVID time and now, many ministers and many politicians and many celebrities, they have clicked the photos for all the charity work they have done towards the COVID affected people and all. So that should not be the thing. Okay. Yes, Prabhu.
Content. Rajastamaschavi bhuya sattam bhavati bharata raja sattam tamasyeva tamasattam rajastatha. Sometimes the mode of goodness becomes prominent, defeating the mode of passion and ignorance. Osana Bharata. Sometimes the mode of passion defeats goodness and ignorance, and at other times, ignorance defeats goodness and passion. In this way, there is always competition for supremacy. Bhagavad Gita 14.10. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, the ultimate thing why we are knowing about this is all of us have the mode of a goodness, passion, and ignorance. By knowing about it, we try to increase the quotient of a goodness in each one of us, try to balance out the rest of the passion and ignorance, bringing them to the minimum things so that utmost purity can be attained by which we can do our sadhana bhakti. So in this way, it will help us to progress further in the bhakti. So variations in the modes of nature. Several times the modes get displayed in varying proportions even in the single living entities. See, once we are in a group of devotees, maybe we are different. But once we are there in a mode of in a group of people who are in a mode of passion and in a mode of ignorance, some amount of the lesser quantity or lesser proportion of the passionate and ignorant mode may come up and you may react. Okay. So the ultimate thing is that by doing the sadhana, we can have a control over that passion as an ignorant mode. So that is the reason if we are increasing our goodness quotient, and automatically rest of the two will come in under control. So during the single day, from a dawn to dusk, in different phases of one's life or over lifetime, the modes have a propensity to keep varying. So no certainty that even mode of a goodness can grant liberation. One has to transcend goodness too, to reach the pure goodness or Vasudeva stage, where he can, in a true sense, realize the signs of the God. Yes, Prabhu.
14.11 सर्वद्वारेषु देहेऽस्मिन् प्रकाश उपजायते ज्ञानं यदा तदा विद्यात् विभ्रदां सत्त्वम् इति उत. The manifestation of the mode of goodness can be experienced when all the gates of the body are illuminated by knowledge. Bhagavad Gita 14.11. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So all the Navadvara of the body, when they are illuminated with the knowledge, so then automatically then we are said to be more of a mode of a goodness. Okay, the Navadvaras are the 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 nostrils, 1 mouth. Okay, the genitals, the rectum. Okay, all these constitute the 9 openings of the body. So these are the 9 gates, as I told you: eyes, ears, nostrils, the mouth, genitals, and anus. In the mode of a goodness, all gates are illuminated with the symptoms of goodness, showing the symptoms of happiness. One can see, hear, taste things rightly. So become cleansed inside as well as the outside. Yes, Prabhu.
14.12 Lobha pravuttivi arambha karmana asamaspruha rasiyatani jayanti vibuddhi bharatashrava. O chief of the Bharatas, when there is an increase in the mode of passion, the symptoms of great attachment, uncontrollable desire, hankering, and intense endeavor develop. Bhagavad Gita translation Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah, once we are there in a mode of passion, then again the attachment towards all material things will develop, So, and we want to reside in, we look for the bodily comfort. So there is no end for the sense gratification. So he's attached to all the enjoyments which is there for in wife, children, the property and all those things. Okay. Yes, Prabhu.
अप्रकाश प्रभुतिश्च प्रमादो मह एव च तमस्येतानि जायन्ते वृद्धे कुरु नन्दन. O son of Kuru, when there is an increase in the mode of ignorance, madness, illusion, inertia, and darkness are manifested. Bhagavad Gita 13 translations Prabhupada. The dangers of online gaming, addict.
Yes. So there's nowadays a major challenge we are facing across all the age group, the phone, mobile phone, the smartphone addiction and all. Okay, so rather than using it for the good cause, many of us are deviated towards other things which are temporary in our life. Okay. So that is again not having enough knowledge about the Krishna. So in the mode of ignorance, there is no illumination. Okay. Definitely. A house with a light and house without a light, it makes a difference, isn't it? The house with a light is all illuminated, everything is clear, and it's all brighter. So the one house which is not having any illumination, definitely it will be darker. So sometimes we may hit each other also. So when there is no illumination, no knowledge about the Lord, and definitely they are illiterate towards the shastras, the knowledge about the Lord. So they don't follow any regulatory principles. They act as per their whims, and does not work as he has the capacity to do so. And always illusions, consciousness is there, but life is all inactive. Okay. So ultimately, so by knowing these 3 modes, how it's going to affect our outcome. See, ultimately, when we are leaving this material body, so how these 3 different modes is going to help us. So what happens at death to one predominated by a specific mode? That means what happens if you are leaving your material body in a Sattva Guna, or what happens if you are living in a Rajoguna as well as in a Tamoguna. Okay. Results of actions by one predominator by a specific mode. So what are the results of one who does in Sattva Guna, similarly in Rajo and Tamoguna? So this we will cover tomorrow. Hare Krishna. Any questions till now? Hare Krishna. Anybody has any questions, any doubts, any realizations? Yes, you can share.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare-
Mataji, you said on that day that you have to ask Manoj Prabhu's number to add in Ekadashi recitation group.
Prabhu, you can
So
just share your number in the message
chat
chat.
box.
Sure. Thank you, Mataji.
Yeah,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna.
Prabhuji. Thank you.
So any questions or any realization?
Hare Krishna Mataji, if we want to read Bhagavad Gita, means is there any particular part like we have to read 5 pages only, or can we do 2 pages like that? How or
Mataji, who I have started, I will tell you. I felt that is easier. Okay, for me, I felt it is easier. What I did is first I read only the translations of that particular chapter,
yes, Mataji.
so that I have an idea about what exactly it is there in first chapter. Then I moved on to second, third, like that, 18 chapters. Again, I gave several readings of the same only translations part. Once I am known to this, like how many chapters are there and what exactly is the summary of this particular chapter, then I started reading the purport of each chapter.
Okay, Mataji. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Because as you advance into level 3 and level 4 classes and all, you need to have a detailed reading of Bhagavad Gita. So it is always better. Except for 1 or 2 chapters, maybe 2 or 3 chapters, rest of the chapters are very small, can easily
Yes,
complete.
Mataji.
Yeah. Hare Krishna. Any other doubts or anything? Okay. Fine. Then we'll all meet tomorrow at 7 p.m. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Thank you, co-host and participants, for your active participation. See you tomorrow at 7 p.m. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Mataji.
Mataji.
Thank you,
Thank
Mataji.
you.
Hare Krishna.